Well, hello, everybody. Your faithful reporter, Oscar Martinez, bringing you news for LA Dodger Report. Today's news, the update on the pitching situation, starting pitching rotation situation of the Dodgers as we sit poised to enter this weekend and into the home stretch of spring training. We're running out of days for the guys to get ready, and Dodger fans are hearing some news about pitching that we all kind of feared. I'll temper it a bit with saying this about that news that we were fearing concerning Clayton Kershaw. Here's the good news. Kersh threw the other day 120 feet. He's playing catch up to 120 feet, worked his way up, and he's played catch the other day at 120 feet, and he actually surprised the coaching staff by throwing to a catcher in a crouch. Now, Kershaw was not on a mound, so he hasn't thrown off of a mound yet, but he pushed himself that extra mile as he tends to do, and he threw to a catcher just to put in some extra work to show himself and perhaps show his coaches that he can still get it done. So that's the slightly encouraging news. The news that kind of tempers that and takes the edge off of it and makes us all kind of sweat a little bit is that time is running out in the spring. And Clayton Kershaw is kind of at the point where you would be at the beginning of spring. And the guy still hasn't thrown off a mound. Dave Roberts has acknowledged for the first time that Clayton Kershaw may very well miss opening day. His first opening day miss in 8 seasons, or rather 9 seasons. If he starts opening day this year, it would be his 9th opening day in a row. But Dave Roberts says it's starting to look pretty tough that Kershaw will be ready. So, eek. Many of us thought that this was a possibility, though. And it's not the disaster on its face that things might look like. Number one, nobody's saying Kershaw's done for the year, but there is a possibility that he starts extra slow out of camp or even begins the season on the DL. So, or the IL, whatever they're going to call it this year now, the injured list. So that's not great news. What about the rest of the pitching rotation? All right, lots of people look to Walker Buehler as number 2 in the rotation, the young ace, the second ace. Lots of people think of him this way. Well, what are the chances of him getting an opening day start? Not too sure about that. A lot of people are throwing his name around, but personally, I don't think Walker Buehler is going to be named opening day starter. Partly because the Dodgers have veterans that have veteran status and veteran stats that go along with that honor of being handed the ball on opening day. So I see other pitchers getting it. My money is on Rich Hill if Kershaw does not pitch on opening day. My money's on Rich Hill. Hyun-Jin would not be a bad guess. But getting back to Walker Buehler, so also he may not get the start because he's being slow played through the spring as well. He pitched a career-high 177 innings last season, regular season, postseason, and so on. So he had a high innings level, and the Dodgers are kind of handling him with kid gloves as well to come out of spring training. So look for him to be played slow. They're expecting him to throw to live batters this weekend at some point, Saturday or Sunday, and possibly pitch a game next week. So keep an eye for that on Walker Buehler. Update on Rich Hill. My personal favorite and pick to get the opening day nod. Rich Hill's doing very well in his spring. He's got a 1.42 ERA with 7 strikeouts and no walks. So Hill looking solid. What about Hyun-Jin Ryu? He's looking pretty well as well. A number 3 starter last year who may get pushed up to being the number 2 guy this year. All right, so Hyun-Jin Ryu has his last start, he pitched 2 innings, didn't give up any runs, gave up 2 hits, and struck out 2. So Hyun-Jin Ryu looking solid as well. So those next 2 guys in the line for starting rotation are looking very good. What about Kenta Maeda? He's the other piece of the starting rotation, and I haven't seen him, but I haven't seen him pitch yet, but he is doing well. He pitched a perfect inning the other day with 2 strikeouts in his last outing. So Kenta Maeda also coming along steady, steady, steady. The rest of the Dodgers pitching rotation looking good. Now, what about who's going to step in if Kershaw starts on the DL? There are a couple of names being bandied about. Young Julio Urias and Chicken Strip Ross Stripling. Julio Urias is looking very good, and he's having a very good spring. His last outing, he topped out at 98 miles per hour on his heater and remained in a consistent high 90s. Pitched a perfect inning and looking very good. He's retired 9 out of the 10 batters that he's faced, 4 of them on strikeouts. So Urias looking very solid. But to counter that, possibly because of veteran status, and Dave Roberts has mentioned that the first guy to get dibs on the starting rotation is going to be Ross Stripling and not Urias. Ross Stripling, he pitched yesterday and he did pretty solidly as well. So that's how things are looking for the rest of the starting rotation. Will Kershaw even make opening day lineup? Will he even be there? And if he's not there, the Dodgers are looking for Ross Stripling to be the next guy up in that rotation. The rest of the middle rotation looking pretty solid. So that's all good news there. And I'll give you one final note. How about Kenley Jansen? Kenley had a slow start last spring. They started him very slow, and he hit the season stumbling. It took him a while to find his stride, and even then he really only had maybe 1 good month or 3 weeks out of 1 month. So they are not doing that with Kenley this year. Kenley is starting out 2 weeks earlier this spring than he did last spring, and he's doing pretty well also. He made his spring debut last Sunday, where he topped out at 92 miles an hour and looked solid. Kenley said that he's feeling good and not paying too much attention to the speed numbers. He said that's what got him in trouble last season, was paying too much attention to velocity, and that threw his game off. So 90% of Dodgers starting pitching and Kenley looking pretty solid. That's the good news. Otherwise, hold your breath. What's going to happen with Kershaw? Time will tell. Stay tuned and I'll see you next time. That's our spring training update for LA Dodger Report. Please like, please subscribe. We'll see you next time. Peace.